Imagine you are a rabbi. A writer comes to you and asks for a eulogy for young men who have just been brutally murdered. These young men were brave. They died defending their people, but they also rejected everything you stand for. They stopped keeping Shabbat. They didn't eat kosher. In the eyes of traditional Jewish law, they were wicked. What do? Do you cry for them? Do you call them holy? Do you remain silent? This was the dilemma faced by Rav Kook in the early 1900s. The request came from the writer Azar, A.Z. Rabinowitz. He asked Rav Kook to contribute one tear into the wineskin of tears for a group of secular pioneers killed by Arab attackers. Rav Kook's response wasn't simple. He starts by admitting that this isn't just a personal tragedy, but a pain rising from the soul of the nation. But then he drops a bombshell. He brings up the elephant in the room. Rav Kook quotes Maimonides, the Rambam, the greatest codifier of Jewish law. The law is harsh. It says that for those who separate from the ways of the community, meaning those who cast off the yoke of commandments, we do not mourn. In fact, the old texts say their death is a positive thing because enemies of God have perished. Rav Kook doesn't hide from this text. He stares it in the face. He acknowledges that the pioneers, by rejecting tradition, fit this description on paper. But here is where Rav Kook's genius and his radical empathy comes in. He argues that we cannot judge these young men by the standards of the past. He says, look at their souls. They aren't people running away from responsibility to party. These are people with souls of flame. They sacrifice their personal lives, their comfort, and eventually their blood for the resurrection of the nation. Rav Kook argues that their rejection of religion is not motivated by true malice. It's a result of the poison of the exile and the confusion of the times. He classifies them as shogeg, unintentional sinners. They are attached to the body of the Jewish people, and therefore they are secretly attached to the soul of the Jewish people, even if they don't know it. But feelings are not enough for a halachic ruling. Rav Kook needs a precedent, and he finds one in the Talmud, in the story of Harugei Lod, the Martyrs of Lod. These were two brothers who took the blame for a crime they didn't commit to save the rest of the community from the Romans. The Talmud says of them, no creature can stand within their enclosure in heaven. Rav Kook applies this to the secular pioneers. He writes that when a Jew is killed by enemies of Israel simply because he is a Jew, and when he dies defending his people, all his sins are washed away. Rav Kook concludes that we must mourn them not just out of human sympathy, but out of religious obligation. He says, holy souls, the heavens and earth testify they are holy. He finishes with a hope that the external secularism will eventually merge with the internal holiness. Rav Kook taught us that while the book, the law, may seem to demand a negative judgment, the heart of the nation, the internal spirit, recognizes a deeper reality. So although these individuals appear to be both hated and beloved, eventually their national sacrifice grants them supreme sanctity. Thank you for watching.